Hi everybody, welcome. This is my Hyrox Birmingham 2024 race day video. Now, Hyrox Birmingham is the event that I very nearly didn't end up going to, and it's the one that I've trained for the least in all of the other 10 Hyroxes that I've done, where I've done very specific training and prep. The sort of reason as to why both of those things happened stems back to the very beginning. There's a story, as there always is in my videos. There's a bit of a story behind it. Way back when the tickets went on sale for Birmingham, they were looking like they were going to be selling out really quickly. So I made sure that I was sat at this computer at 6 o'clock on the day they released their tickets. When I joined the queue, I was about 3,000th, and when I got my turn, when I patiently waited for my turn, it refreshed. The website refreshed, put me to the back of the queue. I didn't get a ticket. Long story short, I wasn't going to Hyrox Birmingham. Now, this was a kick in the teeth because I've done Hyrox events for years. This is my local Hyrox, the nearest one to me. After traveling all around the country, this is the one that I can't get to. It was very frustrating. My immediate reaction was to make a YouTube video, this one. And yeah, I ranted in that video a little bit about difficulty getting tickets and how they messed up and everything. And things are changing now, but back then that's how I felt. But in the background, another reaction was going on as well. I went away thinking, well, screw you, Hyrox, I'm going to go find other things to sign up to. So that's exactly what I did. I went online, I found 3 different OCRs. I went and booked onto a Deadly Dozen fitness event, but most importantly, I signed up to the Ratrace Seas to Summer Ultramarathon Trilogy. Ultramarathons over mountains within a 6-week window around the same time as Hyrox Birmingham. So I suddenly had eight different things to do around that time. So in addition to sort of signing up to those, I also had to commit to the training. I'm no long distance runner, I'm not an ultramarathon runner, so I had to commit to going out each week and doing lots of distant miles over grueling terrain, lots of hilly miles, lots of mountainous sort of practice, and it was all so I could get prepared for these 3 big ultramarathons that were coming. So this is when my friend John pipes up. He says, "Martin, would you like my Hyrox Birmingham ticket, because I'm going on holiday and I want to enjoy the buffet and beer without having to worry about coming home and immediately going into a Hyrox event?" And I went, "Yes, I'll buy your ticket," and immediately gave him my money. The problem was that I'd already committed to this training, and I was already involved in this training, and there was no getting around it. A lot of the time that I would be normally spent preparing for a Hyrox event had gone. So that left me with 1, at the most 2 sessions in the gym each week to try to sort of catch up and get ready for this event. What I was finding though, that I couldn't apply the same amount to my training. It had to be rather generic cross training rather than specifically strength or endurance or station-based training for Hyrox. In addition to that, these events were difficult and they were hard, and they have left their mark on me. The compounding effect of doing ultramarathon has left my body a bit weary and a few aches and pains and niggles. Now, what does that mean for me on race day? It means that I am going to have to manage my own expectations. There is no doubt about it that it's going to have an impact in my performance. I need to be very realistic that I'm not going to be getting times like I have previously. Maybe this is an opportunity for me to step back from that performance anxiety that normally is in me when I'm building up for a Hyrox event. It's something that's sort of programmed into you through social media and coaches and people online that you must go faster, you must try your hardest, you're only as good as your last result. Can you go into a Hyrox event, for example, and just do it for fun? The word fun is sometimes thrown around with regards to Hyrox, and it is fun, but the second you layer it up with massive amounts of pressure on yourself, it can become a burden. Yes, all that needs to happen now is for me to have a haircut and get over to Birmingham. Holly will pick this video up with the big camera and we'll take it from there. Right, let's go guys. Hi guys, I am now here at Birmingham NEC. I'm here quite ahead of my own time because I want to come and spectate some of the races and film my sort of walk the floor video.
I'm a bit nervous about this one because I don't know where I'm at fitness-wise, on sort of hybrid fitness-wise. I've been doing lots of ultramarathons, as I said in the introduction, so it's going to be what it'll be today. I think I'm gonna aim to go slower, to go faster, try to be more consistent, try not to blow up at each of the various stations where I normally blow up. So, yeah, a little bit apprehensive. I'll be glad when it's all over. Welcome to Hyrox, everybody. So this is the part of the video where I talk over the top of my own race day footage. Now, do not panic. This is not the entire race. In fact, it is only a few clips from each of the stations to sort of describe and analyze how my race went. I will touch briefly on times, but I'm not going to get too much into the weeds, just rather than how it felt for me on the day. So I am now in the Red Bull start tunnel ahead of my first lap. The first lap was 2.5 laps. That was 3 times past the in arch. All subsequent laps were 1.8, 2 times past the arch. And we are away. So I made a pact with myself not to go too fast, trying to go slower to go faster. Didn't necessarily pan out that way, but I did try to remain relatively calm. In previous years, I would have bolted off there. So into station 1. This is the skier, 1,000 meters. I don't adjust the damper, and it does generally feel a bit light then when I go on the ski. I'm able to find a decent pull tempo and a range of motion that I usually do at the gym. And I think when you look down the row of people, everybody's got a different way of doing it. If you look at the guy in the white t-shirt next to me, is a slower but much more probably powerful, longer strokes. So very comparable between us. So we are now coming out, just passing the mat there, so now back into the rock zone, heading out to the next running lap. So 1.8 laps, just sort of cruising round. The sort of more faster runners on the left, and the slower runners are supposed to go on the right, I think. So now we've just come into the sled push, station 2. Now I quite like this sled push, I do. It's probably my second favourite only to farmers carry, and this felt quite good. Moving it like here, as you can see, it's moving quite fast across. Now I was strategically taking little stand-up breaths at either end just to catch my breath, so I could try to do them in single movements. I didn't have to keep stopping over and over again. By the last rep, I did have to take a mid-run break, but it was only to catch a couple of breaths before starting again. Now I did utilize the underhand grip, the one where you kind of lift, but at this point I reverted back to an older technique, and I think that was muscle memory and a panic cue for me, because I had to have a bit of a word with myself and convert back to this way, because I didn't want to do it that way. I didn't want to go back. It was just something I did automatically without thinking about it. So that's me done. And now at this point you go through a period where your legs don't necessarily work right. A fitter Martin, a better conditioned me, would have ran much straight away from the sled. I wouldn't have dilly-dallied too long around there. And that's where I'm hemorrhaging seconds, certainly coming off the back of all the ultramarathons that I've done. That's where I'm feeling it. So now I've come into station 3, the sled pull. I always give it a little bit of a test when I first start pulling to see how much of hand over hand I can tolerate. It's in my mind, if I use my arms a little bit, I'm saving my legs a little bit, but I can't do it for long before I have to start walking it back. Use your body weight as the lever just to sort of get it to the back. And I wasn't really using the full box, and I think that's because I was being a bit paranoid about the line, the new rule about standing on the line, and in fact I was miles away from it most of the time. Now I'm not particularly quick at these. This was about 4 minutes 39 seconds, so not particularly quick, but it's almost exactly double what the sled push was. So yes, this is one of those things that sort of taxes you more than you think it does. It's not, when you practice in the gym, it never taxes you quite like it does on the event. So coming out here, we're now going sort of to the walkway that is shared with the sled push before sort of breaking out back onto the running track. Now there's a little camera down here. Please note that I did get a pretty decent photo out of this. So threw the guns up, perfect. Any opportunity to do that. So we're now out on lap 4, heading towards burpees. Goodness, I hate burpees so much. Now I get to this point and I'm thinking, right, my heart rate's at 165. It can't go much higher before we're entering heart attack territory, so I had to sort of grizzle and grind it out. I do this even when I'm feeling pretty good coming into them. It doesn't take long before I'm feeling terrible. So it was a step up, albeit a little bit slow. Did you see that little slip as I hit the deck? This was one of the criticisms of the burpees at Birmingham, that the carpet was slippy, which was really weird because I've never seen that before. Something new for Birmingham as well is these white lines. If you watch, I use them to pace how far I jump. I try to jump from one line and then clear 2 boxes and land so I clear 2 meters with every jump. It's just a great way of regulating your jumps. But by the end, and this is me coming toward the end, I'm not particularly springy, and this is one of the slowest stations for me. And I've tried many ways to become better at burpees over the years, including volume, including variation, including this and that, and they always seem to get me on race day. But I will continue to persist, as I am there in the footage. Just keep going, keep going, keep going. If nothing else, I have that about me. So the burpees, they took me 6:42. Wow, that is terrible. I would love to get that down under 5 minutes. So that's going to be one of my goals for next year. So we're out on lap 5, heading towards the row. Now, my rows are kind of okay for the most part, but I think those burpees had left a mark on me. So, and then I get into my rower, and the person with the smallest feet in the world had obviously been on there before me, and I start to pull. Now, I think I was a little bit affected by those around me, and I ended up sort of mimicking their pace. I sort of had a little look to the left, a little look to the right, and I saw they were on about 2 minutes per 500, and I ended up just sort of coasting with that. And I don't think it did me any favours. If I'd have gone any faster, I would have just struggled to run away from this particular exercise station. So, yeah, I'm done there, and I'm off back out. Now, that total was quite bad. It was about 4:44. I wasn't particularly chuffed with that when I look back at my results, but looking at the footage, that's what happened on the day. So running back down through the sort of rock zone here toward the running track for run 7. Now this is where it starts to get a little bit grizzly. Farmer's carry. This is the one I actually enjoyed the most. Never have I had to put the 24 kilo bells down. Even when my pace reduces, my grip is still pretty good. So I can sort of grizzle it out. The track here was quite busy, so even if I did run, you would be just constantly overtaking person after person after person. I'm in a bit of clearance here. Obviously there's a few people behind me. I'm probably holding them up if anything. Yeah, so I managed to get through this relatively efficiently at 150. It's not particularly quick, but it's certainly not slow. Yes, 200 meters of these is more than enough. So most of these guys that are around me are in the same wave as me, and it felt really quite busy in some of the stations. It felt busy in the burpees, and it feels busy in the lunges that we'll go on to next. So the only time that I've ever had to put kettles down was actually in Glasgow at Pro. I still haven't managed to be able to do 200 meters of those yet, but watch this space. So we're now into run 7, I believe. Yep, heading towards the lunges. So this is the penultimate run. There's my friend Gary there. And we are now picking up the 20 kilo sandbag off the floor. Now I take a second here to try and look for a dry one. There weren't no dry ones. They all were gross. The combination of sweat and bacteria on those sandbags must be disgusting. Don't think about it too much though, guys. So I start off okay here, but I inevitably slow down with every single lunge, just trying to not pass out. Now you can see that overtaking becomes quite difficult. You're quite wide when you've got a sandbag across your back. Certainly if you look at the traffic here, it does look like the M25 on a bank holiday Monday. And all of these blokes are roughly doing the same pace, except that guy to the left, he's obviously bossing it. Whereas I'm having to do mine all sort of feet together in the middle, the two-step as I call it, just to sort of grind this one out. I know that my legs are struggling. This is one of those things that really brings back the uphills from the mountains. Bearing in mind, just 2 weeks prior to this, I was doing a 34-mile mountain ultra up and over Snowdonia. So yeah, that's the lunges and the wall balls are probably two of the things that are most affected by that. I still feel it sometimes when I'm going upstairs. So into the wall balls here, and I don't know the chap's name behind me, my wall ball judge, but he was actually really, really good. And I'm actually quite proud to say that I didn't get any no reps on this particular station. I was desperately trying to hit the middle of that target. I might not have done it perfectly with every rep, but it was good enough for the judge. I tried to keep my depth, without going too low, but maintaining the movement standards. This is one of those that I decided to cluster it. I did a 20 at first and then did 10s therefore after, while trying to minimize how much time I spent resting. I think I took 5 big deep breaths before picking the ball back up and going again. And as you can see, I'm getting low enough. Make sure the ball doesn't roll away in between. And this is sort of coming toward the end of those reps now, and I've sort of got one eye on the clock. I can't help but watch it. I was desperately just trying to keep it under 1 hour 20, which is quite a bit above what I did this time last year. So I think we're about there. Okay, so we're nearly at the end of these, and I know that I'm quite close to where I entered. I've still got the run to do. Give the guy a pat on his shoulder, say thanks. And then this is trying to engage those leg muscles. I didn't really necessarily have a sprint left by that point, but still enough to throw a gun show for the photographer guy. I appreciate you, photographer guy. I bought your photos. And that's it.
Hi guys, welcome back. Hyrox Birmingham was yesterday for me, and day 3 is raging on as I record this video to you now. Yesterday went almost exactly as expected. I knew going into it that all of the events, training for, and tapering for and recovering from had interfered significantly with my training over the last 2-3 months. So I went into this one not really knowing what to expect. And the end result was about 4 minutes on top of what I would normally do at Birmingham. And it did feel tough. It felt really tough. I mean, Hyrox events always feel tough. The one thing that changes is your time. The amount of effort you put in is always 100%. If it's always 100%, the only thing that then will highlight how your training has gone is the amount of time it's taken to do it. I said at the beginning, could I separate the anxiety of time from the expectation? Could I go in and just take it easy and have a good time with it? The answer is no. I pretty much could not think of anything else all the way around. It now shows me where I need to improve, and moving forward past this point, I think I'm going to change a few things. Next year, I don't have any long big events to train for. It will pretty much be a hybrid sport year for me, and that's because I go up an age bracket in Hyrox, and it seems now's the best time to try it, to see how much I can improve my performance by being a little bit more specific. How was Hyrox this time? How was Hyrox Birmingham, specifically this event? Now, they've moved from Hall 3A to Hall 5 at the NEC, and this was a good move. This hall is one of the bigger halls, and it meant that there was an abundance of space. There's nothing worse than going to a Hyrox event and being crushed up. You noticed it. There was lots of opportunity to get to sort of places where you could watch the action. And there was lots of space. The only criticism a little bit was the crossing of the running track. That always seems to sort of get queues, and there was a massive queue at one point, and I was sort of trying to get to my start wave. That was a little bit difficult. The overall event, the registration queue, getting in and out was perfect. There was hardly any queue, and navigating the arena was super easy. The technology on the day, this has been sort of a bugbear of mine on several occasions, has failed me in the past. Sometimes my chip has not registered, I've not appeared on the board, or the board hasn't been working so you can't see where you are. And while I tell people not to rely on that board, it's still nice to see your name come up and it tell you what exercise you're on, even though so it's nice to see everything working as it should. This is, you know, it was flawless at this event. So if you're involved in the technology side of Hyrox, well done. This was an absolute blinder. The judges, these guys are all having to sort of think about new rules that have been brought in this year. The stepping over the lines and touching the lines and things like that, and the parallel feet on the burpees. Lots of little things that they're having to keep an eye on. And I was actually standing on the sidelines watching those judges, watching the athletes, just to see if they were being picked up on it. Even when I was doing the burpees, I could see the judges correcting people around me. And this is fantastic to see that the movement standards are being held up. On my side of things, I was being extra careful. Knowing the rules and having read the rules ahead of time, having made a video about the rules, I was being very careful not to try and break any of them. And I'm pleased to say I had 100% clean race. Not a single correction, not a single word from any referee, not one no rep on the wall balls. I don't think I've ever done that. So yes, that on that side of things, it was a plus. I think the day went about as well as expected. I think the event has really sort of upped the quality overall as to sort of some of the other events that I've been to where things have gone wrong or things haven't been right. I think there's lots and lots of positives to come out of Hyrox Birmingham. That is chapter 11 done on my Hyrox journey, and it's been a bit of a warts and all one on this particular video, and I knew that going into it. I knew that my wheels were going to fall off and my result was not going to be as grand as it was in previous races. I think it's woke me up to realize the fact that fitness is fluid. It goes up and down, and it is directly, your performance is directly related to how hard you train and how good your preparation is for an event. If you deviate from, say, what is optimum, then expect your performance to decline. And that's what's happened to me. And that's not a shock. I've done an enormous amount of work over the last 8 weeks that have led me to this point in time. But that's okay. It is what it is. I like to make my videos very truthful, very honest, warts and all, very sort of reflective of what a real life Hyrox can be for people. Chapter 11's done. Chapter 12 and 13, we're going to take a slightly different twist. We're going to be doing doubles with John Steventon, who is the person who runs the Row Along YouTube channel, a channel dedicated to indoor rowing. If you like rowing and want to get better at rowing, there is no better place to go. Please head over to his channel and give it a subscribe. He and I are going to be going into Hyrox Manchester and into Hyrox London Excel into the doubles. We have made friends over Hyrox, and we've never trained together. We've only ever bumped into each other a few times at Hyrox events, but we have committed to going hard at these next 2 events. So I'm very much excited to see how they go. Right, thank you very much for watching. It's been a blast. I'll see you in my next video soon. Take it easy. Mart out.